up front, so it was become like the thing.
I share today. Some days it's low.
You'll sit and it just goes straight out.
Exactly. It's like,
Okay, I feel really sure. I have a lot of. Oh, thank you. Oh, you are just.
No, we never wear reds. I'm gonna wear some wear today. Yes. You know, when I retire, I got a whole bunch of other colors. Yeah, okay.
No.
How's everybody? Good. Vacations? Anything? Downtime?
Oh, I'm good with this. Sorry.
And that's what I was telling you, I folded it in red, this is on the June first. Because we would have put it, I've known it was gonna be happening in the morning, it was so to contract, so she was
Okay,
like,
I'm
we
here.
have to be early, coming on the shirt. Like, you know,
Okay.
Drinking nice green wine and.
Unpaid within 3.
We're gonna be, this is a group that's gonna be going with showing. And we're on the other side. So it'll be an amp this first.
That's not right.
Yeah, it's ours. Oh, interesting. No, Holly and I are just driving group. What's the parallel with,
Yes.
10 people?
That's fun.
Yeah. It should be a nice time. I think hopefully we're a little bells here from the crafts. And a little real blazing.
Ready?
Yeah. And I just really. Here, so we're going. It's on.
Okay, we will call the meeting to order. Next business meeting is May 14th, at 12 p.m. If we have it. And then the next hearing will be in this room on May 21st at 8:31. That date has been joggled a little bit to accommodate Memorial Day. With that, could we swear in the staff, please? Do you swear in affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So say I do.
I do.
Thank you very much. And the board roll call, please.
Yes, Mr. Whitman.
Here.
Mr. Leverson.
Here.
Ms. Maniaci. Here. And Mr. Slack is here, but he'll be in shortly. Ms. Bartley. Here. And Mr. Beatty.
Here.
Thank you, we have a quorum.
Very good. Would you do the overview of the hearing format for us, please?
Yes, so city staff will present the staff report and application materials. Then the applicant will come to the presenter table, be sworn in and asked to present their materials. Any registered speakers, if you don't have any registered speakers as of now, will approach the podium, be sworn in and provided 3 minutes each to speak. And then commissioners will discuss the case and ask any questions if needed.
Okay, very good. Are we going to do the downtown neighborhood
Yes,
update
yeah,
at this point?
yeah, we can have a public forum and they'll have 3 minutes. for
Great.
Their segment.
All right, thanks so much. Let's proceed with that, and if you would. Lisa and Rebecca, could you guys please identify yourselves for the record? Please.
I'm Lisa Diependiker. I'm with Capital Crossroads and Discovery Special Improvement Districts downtown. Rebecca Deeds, Neighborhood Liaison for downtown with the City of Columbus.
Great, and I guess we swear, would you raise your right hands? Do you swear and affirm the testimony you're about to give us the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth? And so say I do.
I do.
Thanks so much.
So I'm going to let Lisa open. She has some more updates to share from the downtown special improvement district. So I will let her lead, and I'm here to take any information back to the city administration if needed. Sure. I just wanted to report the CID and the Downtown Residents Association. We coordinated a joint neighborhood meeting last Wednesday at the Key. The point of the meeting was really to engage with the downtown residents, but also to connect them with some city council members and also some city and state reps. So they could share any concerns that they might have about downtown and really feel engaged and know who to call when there are issues that pop up. So we, of course, as a CID, we receive compliments, but we also receive concerns about what may be happening downtown. So over the past several months, folks have brought to my attention, and I know this came up in the meetings, but concerns about the drag racing like we're seeing in most every neighborhood, honestly, in the city of Columbus. After hour parties, that's sort of a new thing on our radar, but we've had several issues on Gay Street, on East Town Street as well, that thankfully have been addressed in the last couple of weeks, but those issues were brought up. And then again, related to safety and security issues is club noise, and not necessarily from the club itself, but the patrons who are leaving the club. So issues with stereos and yelling and fighting and that sort of thing and behavior. So the police were there, the city attorney's office were representatives from the city attorney's office were also there. So there was a lot of engagement, and I think that was pretty productive overall. The city and the CID are working to address all of those issues, drag racing probably being the most difficult to address. And I know that's an issue with other cities as well. Additionally, I know that Rebecca and I have fielded some concerns about parking enforcement, particularly as it relates to the area around the Waterford, it sounds like, but also Gay and Pearl alleys. Our special duty do some enforcement around that, but parking services, I will say, has been really outstanding. So did you want to add anything as far as that particular meeting, or is that pretty much covered?
That sounds great.
And then I just wanted to announce that we were fortunate to receive a city grant of $500,000 to spend on safety services over the next year. We are in the process of fleshing out the budget and where that money will be spent and invested. Some things that we're looking at, no-brainers like additional special duty officers, certainly in the street, but we're looking at a part-time municipal court liaison who would really engage not only with the client, but also with the public defender's office, the judge, the prosecutor's office, and try to come up with a solution for those repeat offenders that are often tied into, unfortunately, drugs and some mental health issues. So we're working on that. We're working on teeing up some lighting assessments of some problem surface parking lots where, again, those are a lot of times around the clubs, but there's activity that's going on there that's not super beneficial for the neighborhood. And then an exterior camera audit. So again, we're getting pricing for all of this, but this will kind of dovetail with the work that the Downtown Columbus Inc. is doing. But we need to kind of map where all the exterior cameras are in the downtown. And I will say the CID has a pretty good idea of where those are at, but we're going to be able to map those and provide that to the Division of Police along with the contacts for the various properties, and then also what types of cameras are there. So I think that would be beneficial. Equipment like replacement 800 megahertz radio, stuff that probably is not super interesting to you. But lastly, some additional training. We did some training, de-escalation training with pretty much all of the security managers downtown and others. We had about 100 people attend that. Actually, that was last week as well. And we're looking at doing similar training. So de-escalation training, mental health first aid training, again, trying to give folks the tools they can to address issues as realistically as possible. So that's generally my report.
I have a question.
Yes.
Go ahead,
Could you give us a report? I don't want to call it a progress report, a report on the outdoor restrooms.
Yes.
How's that going?
It's going incredibly well. So I think we expected to have some blips and some issues. One of the issues, of course, early on, which I'm sure you read the dispatch, was the bowls were freezing. So that issue, the contractor's been out and working on to resolve that. And of course, it's not an issue now because it's warm weather. But I know that people were really concerned about safety issues that might pop up. And we literally have had very, very few. One issue that we're kind of working on to address as far as, I won't get into details, but it's kind of a cleaning issue with someone that's kind of intentionally doing some property damage in the restroom. But That's happened twice, but other than that, our team has done a remarkable job keeping on top of it. We are cleaning them at least 3 times a day. We're hitting them with our safety ambassadors about every half hour, 45 minutes. So I think the adjacent property owners are kind of almost shocked that it's going so well. So they're being used, I want to say about 1,100. I know this is so funny that we know this, but it's like 1,100 flushes per week. So someone in our team is tracking that as well. So it's going really well.
Great. Real quick, now you said cameras, you were talking about cameras. Are those cameras you put up that you're monitoring or something?
So it's a combination. We are, part of the cataloging of all the cameras is some of them are our cameras, but then there's also several properties that have exterior cameras that we don't monitor. So it's cataloging all those, but we do monitor, I want to say probably upwards of 70 cameras in our office now. And I would call them in hotspots. So they actually were really effective we were able to track on our cameras, but also work with the state of Ohio on the bank. There's been several bank robberies down here, unfortunately, over the last couple of weeks. But the one that happened at US Bank, the first incident, we were able to track, identify some players, and work with the state, the Rhodes Office Tower folks to identify direction of travel and how they got out of here, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's part of the solution, certainly, in addressing some issues.
Well, thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate that update. Any other questions, thoughts? Thanks so much.
Sure.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Could I have a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting?
So
And a second, thank you. Any questions, comments, additions, deletions? All those in favor say aye. Those opposed? Okay, the minutes are approved. Do you want to do staff approval right now then?
Yeah.
Okay. Has everyone had a chance to look at the staff approval? Any questions on that items? Hearing none, could I have a motion to approve the staff approval items? So, okay, second, thank you. Questions or comments for Belkis or any of the staff? Okay. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, staff approval items are approved. And with that, are we ready for the first case?
Yeah.
Thank you.
First. All right, so first we have 332 East State Street, which is located at the northeast corner of South Grand Avenue and East State Street, which contains an existing surface parking lot and alleyways. The applicant is seeking commission approval for the exterior lighting of the approved new construction for a medical office building and adjacent parking garage for Grant Medical Center. The medical office building and adjacent parking garage was approved by the commission in September of 2023, whereby they requested that the applicant return for approval of exterior lighting and graphics at a later date. There are 4 proposed lighting types, which include wall-mounted lights for the north and east elevations of the medical office building, overhead and surface mount lights for the parking garage interior, and then light poles for level 5 of the parking garage. And submitted materials include elevations, photometric plans, and lighting cut sheets. And in looking at their materials, they're pretty simple, but we have elevations. If you really zoom in, you can see pack lights in the appropriate locations. And then here you can see where the lighting is on the interior of the parking garage. And then this is the roof showing where those light poles are. And overall, the downtown design guidelines recommend that lighting be for commercial quality and that uplighting be minimized. And the proposal is consistent with all of that. So very simple.
Great. And who's here for the applicant? Morning. Could you identify yourselves for the applicants?
Sure. My name is Michael Lawson. I'm the president at Grant Medical Center. Doug Dole with Ohio Health Real Estate Construction.
And could you raise your right hands? Do you swear to affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So say, I do.
I do.
Thank you very much. Okay. Let's walk through this. Obviously, we've approved the building. Let's just look at lighting for a second. I looked at the lighting and I thought it was kind of hard to tell from these elevations, frankly. But if you want to show us that, it'd be great. Where these things go. Now, did you say in your narrative there, that this was the northeast corner of Grant and State?
I can't remember, but it's actually.
It would be the northwest, right?
Yeah,
Okay, good. I had a little confusion over that.
apologies.
Might look back up and everyone can see if that's changed. Okay, great. You want to walk us through real quick where some of this lighting is?
I think when we were here last, I think the biggest question was the lighting on the top of the garage.
Oh, okay.
So I think that was
Everything else was,
everything else was in the packet.
okay,
There
and
was-
so what did we have an issue? I'm sorry.
There wasn't an issue last time, but you
Yeah.
wanted to see the lighting counts and the light pipes.
Okay.
So here,
Oh, I see. So there they are. Okay.
Yeah. so this is the page that really was,
And can you show us what the fixtures look like? And then obviously on a rooftop like that, our goal would be to make sure that you don't eliminate the entire
Yeah.
center of Franklin County here for us.
totally agree. So and those are cutoff fixtures typical to any other garage downtown that has modern lighting.
Okay.
The pictures inside the garage with those cutoffs too.
Yeah, those are, I know that a question came up about the other garage down at Grant and the replacement fixtures they had put in that were, I want to say more a typical fixture that spread light. These are focused lights that don't give light off the sides of the fixture, so.
And those are on the floors other than the top floor?
Correct.
Right.
Yep.
Okay. Does anybody have, what we're not seeing here is the brightness calculation. I don't know really frankly know how to read those. I will admit that. Bob, I think, does. Maybe Tony does. Do you, people who are well versed in this stuff, have any, or even maybe Janet does, any questions or comments? I mean, I think they're obviously attractive fixtures and they are doing what we want. Yeah. Do I have a motion then? What's the preference of the group?
I just had a couple.
Go ahead, please.
Well, one question I have is the actual bulb itself or lamp. Is that going to be a warm tone or a cool tone?
Well, now you're getting into details that probably have to zoom into what the light temperature is.
I have the cut sheet, they should show the lumens and the.
Yeah, it should be circled there and what's color temperatures, 4,000.
4,000, that's pretty, pretty white and bright.
Well, 4,000,
Sorry, do you want to?
4,000, that's the amount.
Yeah, I think that's one of the lower levels. It's not the warmest, the yellow light, but it's also not the bright white, bright blue. So it's
like a
the,
nice
it's the in-between type lighting is 4,000, yeah.
And then my other question was, and it's just really a suggestion or a question for you. I know that on the south facade where the garage is, you have the perforated metal screen. And I was wondering if there was any thought of washing that wall with light. I know, in other garages around the downtown, there have been examples of that and it's been very successful. And I didn't know if that was something that you thought of doing just, for aesthetics or also just to create some more light there on the street.
I don't think we did spend a lot of time looking at that because we do have our signage on there. So I don't think we want it to compete with lighting, signage, and the metal panels all at the same time, as well as just any of that lighting wash. Would it spill off and how does that react differently? So I don't think we studied that in great detail.
The light, your sign is illuminated, right? So
Yeah,
it will cast
It'll cast some,
some light.
Yeah.
Okay,
and we can look at that again in the next package, because the graphics package is next for this MOD.
Very low level, it may, I don't know, might be an enhancement for the street or for the actual panel, might just be something to
Okay.
explore and then see how that works with your illuminated signage.
okay.
Where's the linear surface count like?
I mean,
Fixtures.
I'm pretty sure,
Yeah.
it's there.
That's an elevator shaft. That's the work light in the elevator shaft.
Okay. Thank you.
Other questions?
I move approval.
Okay, there's a motion to approve. Is there a second? Okay, the motion is on the floor. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor say aye. Oh, I'm sorry, anything from the audience? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, that motion carries. Thanks so much for joining in. And then,
Gotta see them again.
We're gonna be here. For you.
So to make this a little bit quicker, same address, same context, but instead now we're looking at graphics. And so the proposed graphics for both the parking garage area and the medical office building include a mix of illuminated wall signs, illuminated directional ground signs, illuminated projecting signs, and non-illuminated vinyl window signs. Some graphics are located within the right-of-way, and the applicant has submitted plans to the Department of Public Service for their review. And materials include a site plan, utility plan, location plan, renderings, elevations, and sign details. And looking at those, you know, the site plan and utility plan, and then we can kind of see from some of these renderings where the signs are and these elevations. So you have some big wall signs along here. And then it does look like a lot, but a lot of it is, you know, wayfinding and appropriate signage for addresses and hours that they're open. Let's see, some details for the wall signs here and here. So a lot of it is just, you know, branding or wayfinding, directional signage. And now we're getting into some of the wayfinding that's in the right of way. And then a few that will be projecting on the parking garage. And so after review, the downtown design guidelines recommend that each building may be provided one projecting sign, either one wall sign or awning sign per street frontage. And the signs may be illuminated as long as they minimize light spillage onto adjacent properties. The guidelines also state that wall and projecting signs be proportional to the building, with projecting signs at least 10 feet in height from grade, and that ground signs are supported in portions of the downtown with larger building setbacks and should be made of durable, high-quality materials with placement that factors in vision triangle requirements as determined by the Building and Zoning Services Department and the Department of Public Service. Lastly, the guidelines recommend that window signs be transparent and take up no more than 25% of the total glass area, and the proposed graphics are consistent with these guidelines. Thank you.
Well, it looks like a lot of science, but finding your way around a hospital complex in the middle of downtown requires signage. And this all.
well, to the contrary, you don't want to have not enough.
Right.
Um,
Because then you get little things pasted on the glass.
I had two
It's handsome, I think it's well designed.
I had a comment, and it's funny because we're talking about not too many signs, but on the east elevation, to me, it looks like on the, let's say if you're a pedestrian walking on the street on Grant, you have a large expanse and you can't really tell what the building is because I don't think there's any, what I could understand, there really isn't any identification of the building on the east. And it looks like you have
Well,
one ground sign that is on the northeast corner, but I wonder, that's a wayfinding sign, I think, coming from the north to the south. And I'm wondering from the south to the north, if there's anything on that ground sign or if it's blank.
So from the south to the north in the bottom left corner there,
Well, let's see, if you're looking like on the east elevation, if you were walking as a pedestrian all along there, I didn't know, you know, I didn't know if maybe there was an opportunity maybe to have some type of the logo or something at the pedestrian level. So
yeah, I think that, so from our point of view as we designed it, the wayfinding sign on the bottom right corner of that elevation, as you get to the alley, there's a wayfinding there that directs you to continue forward to State Street.
Mhm.
And if you're coming from the south, there's a wayfinding on that corner from the south So both of the corners that pedestrians would be tracking would have that.
Okay.
And I think we've avoided putting any other signage along the building because even that area that we enhanced with the metal panels and the glass to kind of break up the elevation, we don't want that to feel like an entrance either.
Okay,
So it's intentional that we don't have a lot of signs along there because we want to focus on the Grant and State corner where the entrance is.
okay. And then the one that's on the northeast corner, the ground sign there,
Mhm.
is there any graphic or any, is there anything on that south face of the sign? Or only on the,
I don't know that there would,
Where is that sign? Right there where
that's the front corner, it's the other corner.
and that's out away from the building, kind of out from that radius there?
Yeah. Yes,
so I'm talking about that one
That
right
one
where
there.
there's the red. So I'm wondering on the other side of it, is it blank? Is there something that just says Ohio Health? Or is there
Yeah.
any other directional wayfinding there?
I don't believe it's blank, but I think if you keep flipping and to where we get into the details of the elevations of the signage.
Yeah, it's typically signage on each side, on the front and the back. So it's not blank on the other side.
That's good, because I really appreciate that you don't want anything on the building, but if there's something on that south side of that ground sign, that'll.
we can make sure to take a look at that.
That,
for
that
sure.
is part of the Ohio Health Complex.
Yeah, we
That's
can
good.
confirm.
Okay. Any other thoughts, questions, comments? I agree, there are a lot of signs, but there are a lot of different places to go,
Right.
so. It's obviously thought out, so any questions or comments, anything from the audience?
I'm glad to see the bicycle parking sign. I also love the fact that it's got the icon above the sign itself. I also like the P, something a little bit different. I appreciate it.
What's the pleasure of the group, please?
Move to approve.
Okay, there's a motion, is there a second? And there's a second. Questions, comments, thoughts? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
So they'll be back in a moment, but
Yeah.
we'll take a brief detour to 33 East Nationwide Boulevard. This is home to the Sonesta Hotel, constructed in 1986 with an expansion in 1996. So this was constructed and expanded before the commission was formed. And the applicant is proposing to repair the first 2 stories of exterior brick and replace the exterior insulated finish system, or is it EIFS, material on the upper floors like for like with changes to the color palette. A roof replacement was approved by staff in March of 2024 and submitted materials include a site plan, elevations, rendering, existing condition photos and material cut sheets. And look at those, it's just a description of what they're doing. Here you can see, so this is like right across from the Hyatt essentially, but this is the site. And they're basically all EBITs on all elevations supposed to be placed. There is the rendering showing the color. Okay, so this is what it will look like. Like I said, they're tuck pointing, maintaining the existing brick, changing out the EBITs and changing up the color palette that's there now. You can see the gray roof that was approved by staff in March. That was green. It's going to be this gray color. So this is essentially what they're going for.
So the roof color will also change, not just the.
Correct. And that was already approved by staff
Okay.
in March. And so now they're coming with,
You like gray roofs?
I'm sorry.
You like gray roofs?
I review based on the downtown design guidelines and we don't have specifications on color, but it wasn't durable material, so it was able to be staff approved. All right, so the downtown design guidelines recommend using high quality and durable materials such as brick or traditional masonry with front facing facades that have a higher level of design. And the proposal is generally consistent with the downtown design guidelines. And we do want to note that although EVIS is not as high quality or as durable of a material as traditional masonry, staff does recognize that the applicant is proposing a like-for-like replacement for a material that was already existing. So that's why we're noting that. That's it. Thank you.
All right. Someone here for the applicant, please. Good morning. Could you identify yourself for the record, please?
Sure. My name is Jennifer Kaplan, and I'm the senior designer and building envelope commissioning provider for the project.
Zach Middleton, General Manager at the Sonesta Homes Downtown.
Great. Could you raise your right hand? Do you swear and affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So say I do.
I do.
Thank you very much. Okay. I guess one thing we need to look at, want to look at is color. Sure.
Sure.
I suppose, are there different textures for EVIS?
Yep.
It's obviously, and so you have the, is it going to be the same texture as you have on there right now then?
We do have three, actually, it'll be different than what's today. And traditionally, it was just a pebble texture, and that's what the original design was done. But we do have three different textures that we are providing. We have a texture that's a little bit more coarse to represent the brick. Color is what we're trying to represent. We have the white, which will be a more limestone smooth finish, so a little contemporary image to it. And then we have two of the general background grays, which is more of a stipple color, which is called pebble.
Thank you. Okay, I guess what we have you do, you've obviously got renderings here. Could you just walk us through which goes where?
Sure.
Just so, again, we have drawings, but let's just make sure we all understand it, please.
Sure. On the front of the building is where we're adding some large graphics to bring some more visual interest to that building. And what we've done, and we've changed the color up. So we've created a white graphic feature that does represent something a little bit more contemporary, and you can see the
And where is
boxes.
that on this?
Do you see the white boxes?
Okay.
They're kind of like the white boxes, and then the maroon color would be that more of the maroon texture with the larger texture on it that kind of represents the brick idea. And we have two different color bricks on that building, one from the expansion and one from the original building. So we're blending that in, and we're trying to make that work well with the original building and the surrounding buildings. We're trying to make a cohesive palette for the neighborhood, as well as bring in a visual interest. So the gray is becoming the background. The light gray will be the background of the building. It will be the peaks of the building. It will be the background so that all the other materials can stand out. So what we are trying to do is you can see where the dark gray is on the inside of the box, as well as more the maroon color, which is.
Okay, I'm not seeing the dark gray. Could you show me that?
Sure. You may have to zoom in. Okay, do you see the dark gray around the?
In the window.
Yeah, and around the windows. Yeah.
Vertical windows. Oh, okay.
Right.
Inside the box.
Little.
Right. You can see where the light gray is our background. Right.
I have a
Right.
question. if-
Sure.
If that's okay to
Yep.
ask at this point. So I understand, it's like, you had the EFS before and then you're replacing it with the EFS. But I'm wondering, because of the fact that you're creating different colors and, different patterns, if you had thought that maybe some of the new, I don't know, design elements that you're creating, you would use a different material as well. Mix them, and maybe that could create more interest. And also, I'm wondering, when you decided to replace with the EFS, if you had explored other materials in the same budget that, let's say, don't have the traditional issues of EFS. I know EFS has evolved, and you mentioned that the draining system is superior now and that it's much more eco-friendly product. But I'm just wondering, as you develop the project, if you had explored other materials that would have been in the same budget, and also because you're creating, like the white and the gray, and then the brick color, all of these different elements, if you had thought to use some additional materials. Just like your thought process, how you came to the decision.
Sure. We did look at different materials to begin with. And we did determine that EIFS would be the proper material. We do know that EIFS has evolved and it does have the new drainage system. It has a really great product that we're working with the Drive It company. But the real reason why we're choosing EIFS is because it's a light product. The existing steel walls, the studs that are there today hold up an EIFS system. It holds up 2 inches of EIFS, and so we are replacing it with another 2 inches of EIFS. And that's because we want to make sure that structurally the building is sound. We don't want to add any more weight to that piece, and we don't want to create new problems in the future. As well as when we add the insulation, and then if we add another drainage material on the outside, that one, it's going to be adding more weight. 2, we're going to have a lot of issues with our flashing around our windows. Today we have an EIFS system that we can just seal in the windows on 3 sides and add some flashing on the bottom. But if we add in, if we try to add in, let's say, a metal panel system, what will happen is we're going to have a lot of flashing issues around all of our existing windows. And as you can see in our elevations, we do have a lot of windows. And so we'll have more materials, more parts, more pieces, more things to seal, which when you use a product, when you use design elements that are parts and pieces, we have a lot of different contractors now on the building. And the great thing about using the full wall system we're working with Drive It, and I'll talk to you a little bit later about Drive It. We're working, is the full wall system is a comprehensive system. I have one contractor that is responsible for the demo and the install of that wall system. So I don't have multiple contractors that need to be on site. We have just one group that's going to be doing all the work. It's going to simplify the work. It's going to shorten our construction schedule so we won't have contractors in the downtown area for as long. And we're going to be able to seal that building much better. They'll be able to seal, they're responsible. We have one contractor responsible for the thermal, the water, and the vapor barrier protection, instead of having 3 or 4 responsible. And the other item that EIFS will allow us is a very quick and easy way to add in an air barrier to this building. The building today doesn't have an air barrier, which through construction science, we have learned that the air barrier is the most important part of the building to seal the building, to keep out the humidity and to keep in that conditioned air. Because once we have holes in that air barrier, which multiple contractors do, and they don't take responsibility for, then we have problems and we got air moving in and out. So by allowing one contractor to do that work, we are improving the energy efficiency of the building. We're reducing the energy level that's required. And in the long run, reducing the greenhouse gas emissions for the city of Columbus. And so we thought, as we researched just this new one full panel system, that it was going to be the best product for everybody.
Okay,
Do you have to close the hotel to do this?
Excuse me?
Do you have to close the hotel?
We do not.
No, we will be
so you're
doing
gonna
it.
remove all the existing EIFS thing.
Right,
Take
and we'll be
off.
doing it in phases. Because we have that one contractor, we'll have a swing stage come down. They'll remove, I don't know, it's the contractor responsible, we'll say 100 square feet, and they'll install 100 square feet. We'll remove 100 square feet, we'll install 100 square feet, and we'll just keep doing that on the exterior of the building until it's complete.
Now, when you say graphics, I see a Sonesta sign at the top of that corner there, where it's on an angle, and then another one there on the, right there on the left. Are those existing signs?
The one in the middle is existing. The one that's vertical is future, and we're not,
You would come back to us.
yeah, if they're ready to, once Sonesta's ready to do that, then they will.
Because you said you made a comment about graphics and then you went on to talk about.
Right, and geometry, and the geometry, as you saw the original building, it's just one color, one texture,
Okay.
one mass.
What are our comments, any comments or questions on this application? It is what it is. I mean,
I think it's fine. I have to say that the complexity of this seems a bit much.
A little bit.
I always like the building the way it is.
I had kind of the
Background
same
of the
reaction.
roof, because it's a little different than everything else on the street, but the colors are consistent with the neighborhood, and if that's what, if that's the branding you're looking for, I have an objection, but
If you
I don't like
go,
it better.
speak to the, so if you go to actually continue down with the photos there. So if you stop right there, that middle one, zoom in. So our hotel has the existing green roof to the right. To the left is the Canopy Hotel that opened, I believe, in 2017. So you can see they have a little bit more of that design, a little bit more of the gray. That's Eve's as well. So it really would be blending, but also providing a little bit of difference from building to building on the street corner. As you see between the Sonesta building with the green roof there. So this is the building we're talking about. There's a shorter building, which is our 55 building, the old Lofts Hotel, which is now part of the Sonesta complex. So that kind of breaks up the two of them on the street corner, but you can see that the Canopy also brings in some lighter gray, some brick tones, and also some of the white. That's why we wanted to, modernize, but also not go exactly with the same geometry and same design that they had. But it will be consistent with that street corner Nationwide Boulevard.
Do you think, it's just a thought, do you think that the accent being that white, are you, I'm sure you're happy with it, but I'm just wondering if maybe if it were still light and, pretty much white, but maybe a little more subtle, if maybe you'd still get that articulation, but it wouldn't be such a contrast. I'm just kind of thinking out loud that maybe that's something that still gets the effect you want, but it might be just a little more subtle.
We can look at toning that white. The big issue that we have is the first image on the upper left-hand corner, and then the next, the top two, that's north. It's not going to get, and it's shaded. It's dark. I mean, we've been really focused on in our meetings is what does this look like in our computer? And then let's throw this into the model of downtown Chicago and let's look at it in the it's shaded. So we get a little concerned about that it's just going to be dark no matter what. And we just don't want the building envelope to look, the exterior to look muddy.
Mhm.
We want some crisp lines. The goal is to get some crisp lines.
Yeah, maybe when it's installed, because, it weathers a little bit and you have.
It will.
Shadow, it might look a little different.
Yeah, it will, right. Mhm. So there's no sun on our elevations that people would see. The alley side, it doesn't get the sun, which we're not too concerned about, yeah.
Okay,
I had another question. Is this design, I know you said this design is really tailored for Columbus and the adjacent buildings. Is this also a prototype for other Sonestas? Or is this just really with each property you have, you look at the community and you tailor the color and the design for what you think is the best fit?
From what I understand, working with Sonesta, we've just started to work at it. Each city gets to have their own design.
I see.
And so the LA looks much different than Columbus. So what every city has, and every general manager works with the designers.
Okay. And I couldn't remember when you talked about the ground level and the changes that you were making there. I wasn't quite sure. Are you just replacing color? I know you mentioned something where you were doing something with signage, but I know that would be in this package. But I forgot what is happening at the ground level.
So we'll be restoring that brick.
I see.
There is water in the wall section today. Water just, infiltrates everywhere. And so what we need to do is repoint it and add some vents to that wall section so that the whole section can breathe, and we can hopefully, and add some flashing. They need some flashing too.
Okay. And you're restoring it with the same product?
Yep, with the same brick. The goal would be to take the brick out, clean it, put it back.
Thank you.
okay, very good. Any other questions? Comments? Anything from the audience? What's the pleasure of the group here then?
I'll move approval.
There's a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, the motion is on the floor. Again, any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I think the new roof on there would be a big deal with these changes.
Yeah, I think it'll be helpful.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
It's okay if I take the finishes?
So
we have our friends with the Ohio Health again, this time at 288 Easttown, which is located at the corner of Easttown Street and South Sixth Street, where a parking garage and medical office currently sits. The applicant is seeking conceptual feedback to demolish the existing structure and it is slated to construct an 8 stories, 270,000 square foot trauma critical care center with a 120 space underground parking garage. The new building will connect into the existing heart and surgery center of Grand Medical Center, utilizing a portion of South Sixth Street, which will be vacated, and that vacation was approved by y'all last year. And the site plan includes street trees and bike parking along East Town, and the elevations show a mix of materials that include brick, glass glazing, and metal louvers and mullions. And submitted materials included site plan, elevations, and renderings. Here we have some existing photos that Adam took of the site, so you can see this existing structure here is proposed to be demolished, and then the new building will connect into this building using the vacated section of South Sixth Street. Just some additional photos going along here. Here you have the site plan, so you can see how that vacation will be used, connecting into the existing building, and then this will all be new. You'll have access into the underground parking garage here along town, and then this is sort of the main facade. And then in the rear, you have like an ambulance bay area here. So you can see this is the main elevations, the front building. We have the other elevations, the sides, and then the rear, this is that medical bay that I talked about. And then some cut sheets and materials. Here's some renderings, so you can see, this is the building we were just talking about. So this is down the street around the corner, so you can see the new building here. And again, we have the front elevation. Looking down the street. This is the rear elevation and the sides. And I'll let the application go through the applicant go through the rest. But essentially, the downtown design guidelines recommend first floor transparency, that high quality materials be used, and that facades facing public streets use a higher level of design. They state that parking structures minimize their visual impact and be integrated with ground floor uses. And lastly, the guidelines recommend landscaping that complements the overall development and the inclusion of art to enliven blank building walls along street elevations. The proposal is largely consistent with the downtown design guidelines. Staff encourages the applicant to reduce the amount of blank walls on the south elevation's first floor with either additional glazing or to enliven the blank walls with art. And staff also anticipates added details on exterior lighting as the proposal develops. Thank you.
Remind me, is this a conceptual
Yes,
request?
this is conceptual, just for feedback. And the next one as well.
Okay, very good. Are the applicants here?
Yes.
You're official, so we do not have to swear you.
Well, I'd like to swear in our architect as well, just in case there's other questions.
Thank you. No, that'd be wonderful. Could you identify yourself for the record?
Absolutely. Elizabeth Pearl, Canon Design.
Thank you. Would you raise your right hand? Do you swear and affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? And so say I do.
I do.
Thank you. Okay. Let's roll it. Exciting.
Yeah, very exciting. So again, the addition, the modification to the campus as we move to the MOB and the family practice building that we reviewed previously, that allows us to tear down the parking garage and construct a new level 1 trauma center. So again, replacing the one that's been in Grant for all time with something modern, accessible. The chapel side that we looked at, the ambulance bays, again, that's all, it's off an street alleyway, so it's very functional. We've been working with the city of Columbus on traffic studies and making sure that traffic will work there. I anticipate that potentially being even one way, maybe through there by the time we're done. The south face that was discussed, again, that is very function related for the patient drop off, patient access. So as we look at that elevation, I think we are trying to minimize any materials and confusion on that lower level. We want to focus the glass on the entry and the lobby. The rest of it is very functional. Behind that wall is ED treatment bays. So again, as we also don't want to create distraction from where the actual entrance is, it's also a safety and security to have that as a solid wall to the interior. So all the treatment bays and things below that, even if it were just spandrel glass, the perception of the ability of somebody to create harm, drive through, shoot through is something that we're really concerned about on that first level. So as we talk about balancing the typical storefront needs of a first floor that we really like in our downtown versus the safety and security of a level 1 trauma center, I think that's where our discussion will be with that facade and that brick on that lower level. The rest of the building, the brick, the glass, the materials are all very consistent with the MOB that we proposed before, same materials and consistent with the Surgery Heart Center next door and the Cancer Center across the street that recently.
I've got to say with respect to on this transparency issue very quickly, I know it's in our guidelines and we've been embarrassed about that ever since we had downtown commission. But what we also work with is occasional exceptions, and there are reasons for exceptions. In my book, this might be a good example of that. So I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're fine. I think that's, again, we've worked with our teams to try and get appropriate material kind of disbursement throughout the building, signage on multiple different faces. The next item on your agenda is really the conceptual.
And I think from my standpoint, the massing of this thing, that's a big building.
It's a big building. It's a big building on a small site, which is really.
Right, but I think it's handsome. I think it's nicely designed. And I think, by the way, your signage on there is spot on to me. It's kind of large, but it's not, and which I'm not saying is 10 different little signs on here, which I think is good. So I think it's very classic looking.
Would I know you're you're in the middle of your presentation, but because we're on this slide, would this be a good time for me to just mention something?
Please.
Is that okay? I really love the building, and as you develop it, one thing that I'm wondering about is this is the ER, but it's also the trauma and the critical care center. So I am wondering if, in terms of identification and street presence, if you see this building as a building that should have its, a primary entry for the trauma and critical care center as well as the ER, or if this is primarily the entry for the ER, and that the trauma and critical care, how that's working is a visitor is coming in through another side of the hospital and then progressing through to an interior lobby that identifies this. So I'm just wondering what your thoughts are, and as you develop it, how you want to see this facade developed and how you want the trauma and critical care center presented at the pedestrian level.
Yeah, so I think that's a great question. I really kind of love that question because it does allow us. So you can't see in this rendering over on the right, there's a sign that talks more about the trauma and critical care. The focus of this entrance, even though there will be surgery patients and other that come in, is on the ED, because people who are coming to the ED, as you've seen over time, the existing ED has gone from a black canopy with a couple of small signs to it's spray painted, it's red, it's just a wayfinding necessity to have one focused entry here. And that's where we've kind of looked at this, and we have gone back and forth about how much red and how much emergency, but we always fall back to the importance of the patient getting to the facility, getting in the door as fast as possible, making it as simple as possible for someone who's in a stressful situation to get there. And then we can balance the trauma and critical care portion of this off of that. So that inside the building, one entrance is critical for us because, again, safety, security, all those things. We've learned at Ohio Health and all of our hospitals have too many entries, and we're trying to minimize those as we move our buildings forward. This particular entry, as you come in, will have the safety security step as your first stop when you come in, and will quickly be sorted as an ED patient or someone visiting somebody in the ICU or going to surgery. So there's a security desk right inside the door where they'll separate and kind of triage and separate the families or the patients who are coming in to emergency or non-emergency. So, but one entrance is critical, and having that entrance, as much as I don't want to say it this way, be over the top as the emergency room. That's really the goal, because this is a level 1 trauma center, and it's really important for people to know where they're going when it's.
I think in the scheme, with all of the things going on downtown and the complexity of the hospital, this is a really handsomely designed, but in your face kind of solution. I think if, you're trying to find that place in the middle of the night and you have to be there, you don't want to be there, you want to find it right away. You don't have to wander around looking for the emergency room and all that. And I think this works really well.
I mean, I think it was key when you closed your grant entrance, because it's a confusion as far as when you walk in there, which way do you go? The wayfinding is very difficult. And when you transferred that to the emergency, everyone knew where that was. And this is the same thing. When you come in, you will triage what the critical care and the trauma is. So there'll be a separation, but I think it's great to just focus. The emergency is trauma and critical care.
Yeah, because a lot of the patients who come through, they may need trauma or critical care services. So it's all like really in one location.
And you have a small door, like a glass door that says trauma and critical care, with some vinyl signage on it. Is that meant, how will that door be used?
So I'm not, which door are we?
On the drawing, I'd have to look at her. It looked like maybe it's part of, I can't remember, but on the rendering there was, actually, I think I printed something.
So the ambulances would come in the back. On the
Ambulance?
side of the building there.
Yeah, the ambulance.
They'll know how to get in and out of there, right?
Excuse me?
They will know how to get in and
Yes.
out of there.
Yep, we will. Yeah, they've been part of the design process already, and
Okay.
Ohio Health folks will have a kind of liaison in a session with them where we work as the construction happens, and then afterwards with the training on how to get to the existing ambulance bays during construction, and then the new ones when we're completed.
Will the helicopters land on this building?
Helicopters land on the Surgery Heart Center adjacent.
Okay, so I know we approved that already.
That's
But there's
3 or 4 or 5 years old project there.
there's a quick way to get from there to here.
Yeah, so as the footprint of the ED is actually bigger than this site, it goes into the existing building
Okay.
that captures the elevator that comes down.
Oh,
from,
yeah.
Yeah, so it's within the footprint.
This
Do
is,
you mind if I come up and look at?
yeah, this is the store here. I'm just curious if this is if that's the part of the storefront system that is with the ER, or if this is, it looked like it was a standalone door.
Door is that?
On the south elevation on Town Street.
That's a sign. Wait, okay.
It's in the graphics package.
So we would have a double door. We have a double door in the vestibule. So this may just be showing the single leaf
Okay,
of a double door. Because when you look at our plans there, we should have a slider in there. You zoom in on that. Yeah, so we have a large slider and then breakaways.
This one is from the next application, the graphics package.
Okay.
So I didn't realize, I'm sorry, so that's part of that big double door into the.
yeah,
ER.
that's a good question. Clarify.
Yeah, we'll clarify that, but yeah, we have a sliding door in there, so it might have been they used the wrong door to show the sign on the package.
Yeah, I think it's a graphic of the door.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
That's a good
overall,
question.
yeah, it's a good question. I think overall, I really appreciate the design. I think the canopy is really doing what you're saying it wants to do, is like being that kind of marker, that beacon for people to come to. So yeah, I'm excited to see like how the details and design plays out there.
Is the canopy illuminated, the red? I mean, it looks like it's bright. I mean, does it
No.
glow at night?
The emergency sign will be
Just the
illuminated.
color.
The band of red will not be.
Are there other questions or comments? I mean, this is conceptual. What's the reaction on this?
This is a great investment for our downtown.
I really love it too.
Obviously needed, and I think it's an impressive building. It's impressive looking. I think it'll be, over the years, some of the hospital buildings here have not been, let's just say, magnificent, but I'd say this is a step up, and from my standpoint.
Ours too.
Okay, well, that's good. Well, I think you get something out of that. I mean,
I like
for
the
now
idea-
and long term.
Yeah,
I like the idea that you're really creating a campus.
yeah, that medical center destination.
Exactly.
Yes.
Well, is there a separation between those buildings? You can't really tell from this angle. I know the street is vacated, right? And so can you walk between the buildings
Then
then?
you go back one slide.
And you can't, there, see, right over on the right, yeah, back in there. Will you be able to walk? Is there a sidewalk through there?
No, it's connected.
Okay.
No,
So it's just really kind of connected.
yeah, the first floor emergency department goes,
So the building's
it's in the
kind of,
existing footprint all the way across Sixth Street and then all the way there. The first 3 floors
Yeah.
are directly connected with the ability to transfer from the surgery art building into this building,
which is what you want to have.
which is what we want to have.
Okay.
And then the bed tower, as you go up from there, is separated.
Okay.
So the ambulances will come in on Sixth Street then.
The ambulance will come in on Sixth Street, yeah.
So what's left of Sixth?
Yeah.
I had a question about how those two connect. I really like the idea that you're using the curves and you're doing something very creative to attach, to connect them and make the adjacency. But I'm wondering, whatever's happening on those windows that are close to to that connection, if it really will cast a shadow like that, and if they are patient rooms, maybe that's just something to look at.
It's not,
It's not patient.
It's not patient rooms.
It's not patient rooms. We were very careful of that. So the patient rooms in the Heart and Surgery Center are up higher. They're on the 4th floor. So it's a semi-restricted surgical corridor on the 3rd floor, 2nd floor. The rotunda is the dialysis for inpatient, and that still gets all its daylight. So
Okay, well, for a conceptual review, any thoughts here before?
I got one thought.
Yeah, please.
We should think about I'm not against trees. But think about that tree placement as it relates to the signage. The trees that we show there now are small. And so trees grow, and then just be careful where you throw those suckers.
Well, I think that's a great topic because I think we're trying to balance the need to kind of break up and add, beautify with the function of the space.
Yeah, I think you can create a, softscape in that island, in that peninsula there, without trees to really identify,
We haven't seen
the
the,
every approach and the pedestrian experience and all that stuff, but maybe not block the.
I'd say it's a good point, and I'd say, we obviously have a streetscape plan, but again, in the big wide world, occasionally there comes a moment for an exception.
This would be it.
And this might be another
No, I appreciate that
Another
because again,
moment.
that's
moment for that.
that's something that we have talked about. And again, the little trees we plant today are going to be real trees in 5 or 10 years. And
There's a place for them, and maybe there are other places where you don't need
so
them,
appreciate that. We can definitely take a look at that. It's a great
when
compliment.
when you come back in. Okay, so that's a good, I think what we're trying to talk about are things that we would want to talk about if you come back in for your final approval here. Any other thoughts come up? That's a good one, Tony. Anything else?
I had one more, and it circles back to what was talked about at the beginning, that because of how your ER is functioning, and then also, the need for safety, security, that you don't want to have transparency in the front, and that makes perfect sense. But I'm wondering, as you develop the project, maybe there's an opportunity, maybe with the brickwork or something, that at that lower level, and it can be very subtle, but maybe you do something interesting with brick texture, or something that shows this is designed, this is a front entry, this is a contributory wall, although it's also functioning as a wall that, should not have
I
transparency.
think that's a great suggestion. We can definitely take a look at that.
I think that could be very handsome, just a brick pattern with a little texture or something. I don't think you want to put artwork on that wall because it may be a distraction. But if the brickwork could be more interesting than just a flat wall, that's a great solution.
That is.
Okay, anything else, Jennifer, then?
Yeah, I guess, did you have initial ideas on the materiality of the red band, like above the storefronts? Is that a like glass or?
It's a metal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else from Autumn? Yeah. Okay,
Thank you.
I think, yeah, thanks so much.
Thank you very much.
What's your timing when you come back?
I think we would probably be back within the next few months.
That's great.
Again, the comments we have are very supportive, so I don't think there's a lot of design.
No, I
needs
think
done,
that's what
so,
you're hearing, yeah.
Yeah, so we should be back relatively quickly with this.
Right.
Great,
Don't they have one more, which is the signage?
Yes, we do.
okay, great.
So same address, same contact, we're just looking at graphics now. And to keep it short, they're proposing essentially the same type of graphics as they did in the other buildings. Some are in the right of way, but they are in communication with the Department of Public Service on them. Looking at them,
And is this conceptual again?
yes, this is all conceptual. So we can see here renderings of the graphics, so it's, wall signs, wayfinding signs, we have that one canopy sign for the emergency room. And, same type of graphics and branding there. And essentially my analysis is the same and they are
Yeah.
consistent to keep it short. So,
And in a way, we kind of looked, I guess, a little bit at the signage as we were looking at the overall building. So anybody have any specific thoughts on signage?
I had one.
Okay, go ahead.
Where you have, let's see, I think I wrote down the sign name so you would know. But of course I can't read it without my reading glasses. I think it's GPS 2. It's the pole, it's the red emergency pole that's on the median if you're driving from east to west. And I'm wondering if you think at that location, you would also need something that's more of a wayfinding, because if somebody is driving, let's say from the east going west on town, and they're trying to figure out, what do I do? If you feel it's important for them to understand a little bit more, like they're going to understand that's emergency, and we're coming into emergency. But maybe if they're looking for the red garage, there should be a sign.
Yeah, can you?
I don't know, I'm just
Can
thinking
you flip to the rendering of that, see if we capture those signs?
that, if you wanted to put another sign there, like another ground sign to direct.
Probably in the last proposal, was the better rendering of that first floor.
Yeah, they are. I don't know, or maybe you don't need something, but I'm just wondering.
Yeah, so at that first corner, you have, if you're driving west, you see this trauma critical care, the marker sign on the right, and then you capture that. From the other view, there's another ground sign at the other end of the building that sorts the red garage from the emergency entrance as you drive forward. So that sign that is there would allow you to know to turn into the red garage or continue to get into the, so.
Okay, so as long as you feel if you're coming in the other direction, if you're driving in the other direction, that people would feel confident how to wayfind what to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I think reducing the trees as we talked about maybe, and I think here even on this sign where it says emergency, they're having, just some arrow or something. Even. Yeah, just something that says turn in
Small
here.
arrow, yeah.
Yeah, turn here basically of some sort with an arrow or a marker would be helpful. It's a great comment. Very
Good.
appreciative.
Okay, any other comments on signage? Okay, thank you very much. Really appreciate it. See you soon.
Yep. Thank you. Appreciate your time today. That was thank you.
Thank you.
Is that your window?
Yeah.
Are they tinted? Is that tinted glass?
This is just it's got a little bit of a green shade to it.
Okay. Okay, thanks. Is that what you like in the hospital sense?
Yeah, I think this adds does the environmental filtering and some of those kind of things, higher energy release. And yeah, so again, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, very good. Okay. What else do we have? Anything else?
Just adopting the staff list into the.
Oh, I thought we could.
Well, so at the beginning, we had a common staff approval.
So I wanted to guide.
Pull the
There are
fast one on
guidelines,
this.
so it's a staff approval list. The guidelines went down.
So right now you want to talk about guidelines.
Well, I wanted to clarify, so I had a vote on the common staff approvals at the beginning of the agenda. And I think you thought you were doing the staff approved applications for this past week, am I correct? And now you want to talk about the common staff approval list? Is that correct?
I guess I don't know what you're talking about.
So at the beginning of the agenda, I had a vote for the new common staff approval list that you have in front of you.
Oh, yes.
And I think maybe by your body language, and how you were saying it, I think you thought we were talking about what's typically last on the agenda.
I
which
was.
is- Okay.
I was.
Okay, so that's good, that's.
I beg you.
No, it's okay, I was telepathically there with you. So now, and we can talk about the common staff approval list. And I'll bring it up here. So the first item we have in front of you, so about a year ago, me and our project team looked at all of our staff approval lists across all of our board and commissions. So all of our historic commissions, and then also all of our design review areas, so downtown, East Franklinton, and the university area. And we saw differences, we saw some lists are, over 15, 20 years old, not ours is 10. And so we wanted to bring clarity to all of our lists and also consistency. So that way, if someone is in university, they have pretty much similar items if they were in downtown or East Franklinton, just to provide that clarity for us as staff when we're reviewing staff approval applications, and then also for the applicants and the public. So what we did is we created what we're calling common staff approval lists. We have one for our historic commissions, which, by the way, all historic commissions did approve their common list. And we have a second one, this one, for our design review areas. We looked at items across, compared and contrasted. We looked at common staff approval lists in other cities that are growing and experiencing economic growth, like Austin, Charlotte, Nashville. We also looked at cities with a lot of, historic fabric and strong urban density, like Philadelphia, just to take inspiration. And this is the list that we came up with. So what you have in front of you is this kind of color-coded list showing what was on your existing list in column A. Second column is the type of item that it is, and then the third column over is what is on the new list. And then the last column is the logic that we used for that item. You can see how the existing items translated over. Items in green are new. Items in white are the exact same, we just carried the language over, and then items in yellow were just reworded. So you can see there's a lot of rewording for downtown. There's a couple of new items, but I did want to note that there are items specific to downtown that we wanted to make sure, stayed in place. So the first item is with graphics. So downtown in particular, if graphics are higher up, those go to the commission. We kept that. So we have that carve out for downtown. There are a few items that we wanted to make sure don't apply to downtown. In other areas, if an item is approved by the historic commission, it doesn't need to go to their board. That is not the case for downtown. If there's an item on the historic register, they still need to come to the commission and receive review and approval by downtown. We kept that. We wanted to have that carved out for downtown. And then the other item is public art. You can see on this colored list, the very last item on the second page. We deleted that because it actually is not our process for the way that public art gets recommended. It goes before the art commission first, and then it can get recommended, through the downtown commission. So that's why it was deleted, is it doesn't apply like that.
So what does that mean? Does that mean that if there is if we do not review public art, right?
Correct.
Except to the extent that it might be part of a building.
Right, so location and placement, yes, but the content of that art is reviewed by the art commission.
Oh, I see.
So we'll still be looking at placing
Correct. If it's on a building, yes, yeah,
or site around.
or a site, yes.
So let's go through this. ADA, is this, again, obviously there's certain code requirements that relate to ADA. And I hope that we're not gonna try to wade our way into that kind of thing. So this is as it affects the design of the building, right? So for example, if there's gonna be something on the front where there's a ramp or there's,
Yeah.
that's where it would come under our purview, is that correct?
Right, so I'll use an example, in East Franklinton, there was a building, entry to a school that had some steps, they wanted to add a little ramp. That's something that could be staff.
Okay, okay.
I had an issue with that because that little ramp went perfectly fine, but we have a lot of discussions with applicants about accessibility. Oftentimes, not seeing very much accessibility, or it's in the back or something like that. I
Correct.
think if it affects the design of the building in downtown, we should look at it.
Right, and that's a very good point, Bob. So although an item is on the staff approval list, if staff feels and management feels that it really impacts the whole facade of the building or the overall design, we are obliged to bring it before you all. So this is just a starting point, but.
So these items here are for staff approval then?
Yeah.
Is that the idea?
Which we do every month. They're just updates to the existing list, and then this list would be common across downtown East Franklinton.
The other one
There,
I'm concerned about is landscaping and hardscaping. We spend a lot of time worrying about landscaping and hardscaping. Why would we?
yeah, we sure
make that
do.
step?
It's currently staff approval. The language was just updated, so our current list for downtown that was adopted in 2014 has all landscaping as something that can be staff reviewed and approved, and so the edit that we just made is we did all landscaping and hardscaping, which we do now. We just wanted to play our.
Now, wait a minute, so if obviously, if someone comes in with a new case, we review the landscape. So that's not a standard.
Oh, yeah, we don't.
This is for
spell out.
this is for existing buildings, right?
Correct. So one example is, I got an application for, there was like an AEP, is it like a transformer box? And there was an existing landscaping bed and they wanted to update that with new bushes. I reviewed and approved that.
Yeah.
And then that staff approved application was included on the agenda that you all see every month. And those cases are also in box for you to review as well. And then every month you all make a motion to accept the staff approved cases into the formal record.
So we had, for example, some years ago, we had, they wanted to redo the plaza, I think, there at the Huntington building.
Uh-huh.
And that came to us, and I think that could come to us.
Correct.
I don't know whether that falls under,
Well,
plaza-scaping
to a
or
level.
landscaping, but somehow or another, yes. So in other words, the level is the impact on the building and okay.
Correct.
So if it's minor and they want to take out 3 taxus bushes and put 3 boxwoods in, okay.
If a public.
Has anybody, I think part of this boils down to, have we had any problems with what we have done? And we've been doing this for 10 years, maybe somebody in here doesn't even realize it. I would get a call though from the staff person, Daniel or Belkis these days, would say, hey, they want to do this. What do you think about it? And I have, if it's something that is major, very visible, and don't hold me to all these words because I'm trying to frame what I'm trying to say. But if it's something that I think we ought to look at, I know somebody's going to jump up at the back and say it's highly subjective, but I'm going to agree with them on that.
Right.
But if it's something that we ought to look at, I say, let's just bring it in here. And frankly, if it's a gray area and I have a question about it, I tend to say, let's bring it in here and we'll look at it. If it's gray or questionable, but everybody likes it and even if I'm on board with it, I might say, bring it in. And those are some of the things that we can get done with in 10 minutes here. But I still want to make sure that everybody on this group has the ability to do it. So, I mean, we can put all this stuff down on a bunch of paper, but I think we're still kind of in there. And so what I'm asking for everybody, is, do we think we've had any problems with where we are, what we're doing? Because we can also kind of, there are two ways to do it. We write everything down and try to be very specific on paper. We just kind of keep going the way we're going, which does have an element of subjectivity to it.
I think that we need to keep that subjectivity and having the chairman, make those decisions.
And that will bring me stuff.
Okay.
I'm going to bring up an example that happened today that kind of caught me off guard, and that was the roofing change on that hotel. I think that's a major change that should have come to us. You said something about, well, the guidelines are saying about color, but color is an absolutely critical part of design review.
Especially on a roof that's that big.
Well, yeah, if it's a flat roof that you can't see, that's one thing, but that's a huge architectural element to that building. And frankly, we had to go along with the color scheme for the building because the roof had already been. And I'm not sure I would have agreed with that if I had input to the roof change.
Right, right. No, that's a very good point. We did currently on the staff approval list, all roofs will be reviewed and approved by staff and,
I think it should say all invisible roofs. I mean, if the roof is a part of the design of the building, I think it's just as important as the windows or the walls or the signage.
right.
That's not, the roof is not a specific item on here, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
It is.
Where is it?
On the first page, oh, on there.
Okay. But by the way, part of our discussion about this today is if we want to go along with this, if we want to tweak it, we have an opportunity to say, hey, let's tweak it. And by the way, why don't we do this too? Has anybody seen this? We didn't see this ahead of time, really, did we?
Yeah.
Why don't we take this with us and get,
I just want to know if you have seen this. I did send this weeks ago. And
Okay.
I did say in my email, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, to email me and I'm happy to talk to anyone and I
Okay.
didn't receive any
Yeah.
communication from anyone.
so let's do this. Let's,
How long do we have? I mean.
well, let's review it. Let's get back at the next meeting if we can. Is that all right?
I do want to note too, so when we present it to other commissions, if they're all are small changes, we're happy to make an asterisk and say, for downtown, it's
Right.
this. So we're very happy to do that.
Well, I would say it looks like somehow or another, even if we should have, and maybe we didn't look at things, why don't we take a moment in time to do that? So that going forward, we're on a page. I had one other thing too that I wanted to discuss. This is an interesting thing and I didn't quite realize it. But down on this, what was you and I talked about it on the phone.
It's not the certificate of appropriate.
Yeah, the certificate of appropriateness, the time period on it. Apparently, when we approve something, it can sit for 10 years and they can come back and build it. And I think,
Well, if it were 10 years, we'd have them come back.
but what's it say on here? It doesn't say that, does it?
Correct, yeah, and that's dictated by the zoning code that was written. So for that item, we have to go by the zoning code.
Okay,
And if that is something,
so certificate of approval is good basically forever, right? Well, then how do you say, well, after 10 years or so, that's too long, we wouldn't do it? What's that, where does that come through?
oh, well, that's just a judgment call that we would make as staff. So if something got approved 10 years ago, we'd probably have them come back before the
They
commission.
need a new building permit.
Well, the permit's only good. for-
No, we're talking certificate. Anyway, that's just a question. Let's say that's on the floor. I mean, at a certain point in time, if our goal in life is to make a judgment regarding appropriateness, the appropriateness could change in some number of years. So that would be something we could
And
think
is
of.
that all questions, just us?
So we should work on, and then
so-
be prepared to talk about it next time?
Yeah, why don't we, does everybody want to do that? Does that sound good?
Because I must have missed the email. I apologize.
I didn't recall seeing it either, by the way.
Okay, I did send it out.
No, you're not.
And then I have a link
There
to
you go.
the agenda as well that brought up the folder with all this information.
Yeah, okay.
But no, happy to, we're gonna be going to East Franklin University this week for a vote as well, which we're hoping to get a positive vote on, so happy to bring this back next month, to downtown and, hopefully get a positive vote, but please, call me, email me if there's any questions, comments, concerns.
Okay.
And, happy to make asterisks, carve outs for downtown specifically, like roofs, for example, Bob, if you have specific language for that, that'd be very helpful. But yeah.
Okay.
This is part of the.
Why didn't everybody,
Purpose to build a
this is your homework.
long-term.
We get this stuff.
Modernize us with everybody else.
Take a look at it. Good.
We're looking for clarity, consistency, and streaming.
Exactly.
We don't like any of those things.
Yeah. Now we do it. Okay. Any other items to come before us today?
No, that was it.
Anybody else have anything else? Thanks, everybody.
All right, thanks. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, we could have a full time clock. Okay. Thank you very much, Belfast. Thank you,
Yeah,
guys.
thank you.
Have a great rest of the week, everyone.